so we back with Parks the Pros Pod. Right now we got the 1% crew. We got Kevin Moses and we have Troy Cagle. So let me get background on you gentlemen. Let everybody know about who you are, where you've been, and what we're trying to do here with 1%.
Okay, my name is Kevin Moses. I'm the promoter for 1% Hoops. I got started doing this at the beginning of summer, working with a kid named Max Frostley. He lost his senior year to an injury, and through his struggles, me, him, and his dad started promoting his highlights to get him signed somewhere, to get him a scholarship. And through that experience, he got 7 offers and got a scholarship where he wanted to go. In the middle of that, he introduced me to a couple of other kids that were struggling, trying to make it to the next level, and another kid that had an injury and lost his junior year. So I started promoting them, and it just kept blooming and blossoming, and I decided it was a vision that I wanted, and I wanted it to be with kids that are unknown, that are unrecognized, off the radar. I didn't want the 4 stars, I didn't want the 5 stars. Actually, I didn't want any stars, but the unknown, completely raw talent that's undiscovered. And because of Max's story, it just kept building and building and growing until there I was, being seen for what I did, promoting him and some other kids. And platforms started coming to me, like Basketball Dimes was the first one, and they asked me to start tagging them in all of my highlights, and that they would share them so that their big platform could see them. Mm-hmm. And then Top Preps came, and then Troy came, and it kept building until we're here where we are now, helping kids, making a difference, trying to get them to the next level.
For sure.
Without breaking the bank. It shouldn't be about money,
right?
But about their skills.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So we're on me now?
Yes, sir.
My turn to go? Okay, awesome. So my name's Troy. I'm obviously the founder of 1% Hoops. I kind of came up with it on the couch one day. So I played collegiate basketball, played Division II basketball. I went and played NAI basketball, got hurt, kind of moved around schools a couple times, so I really got to pick the brains of coaches and things like that. And then when I got out of college basketball, I got into a job where there was uses of certain systems that allowed, people to reach out to a lot of people but keep it all individualized. And one day it clicked with me. This would have worked crazy for when I was younger, when I was looking for, coaches and scholarships and things like that, because I was one of those guys like Kevin was talking about that was not necessarily underlooked. I had the D3 offers and things like that. Mm-hmm. That just, at the time I was also one of those kids who was, had that weird, crazy fantasy of it's D1 or bust, D2 or bust. And I realized, over the years, that's not how it goes. I ended up walking onto a D2 and earning the starting spot there. And I slowly realized over the years, not everybody's got that. And if I would have had that exposure, I don't know what it would have done for me. Mm-hmm. But, what it could do for some of the kids that don't have the exposure, that are actually slept on, like your foreign kids that just don't have the ability to get seen like that.
Yep.
And also we want to do that without, I don't want to speak the names of anybody here, but, charging $3,000 for the things you do and systems and stuff like that. And, that's been the biggest issue kids come to us with, is the lack of personability, which is where Kevin comes in terms of, helping the kids and getting close to the kids. That's what I tell all the kids when they get on a call with us is, you're going to talk with me, and then you're also going to talk with Kevin. Kevin's going to be the guy that gets tight with you, and he might even come to your games if you're close enough, things like that. So 1% Hoops was started on a couch at my buddy's house one day when I was sitting there thinking it just all clicked at one time. And I built it from the ground up over the past 8 months.
Nice. Okay, so first question I wanted to get into is about the D1 or bust culture. Why do we as a group think that is such the issue, where people don't realize that there are so many opportunities out there?
Well, I'd love to answer this one real quick. So the thing I found, especially with the foreign kids, if you think about, I like to put it in terms of car brands. If you think about your Mercedes and Audis and things like that, you're like, oh, no, that's nice, that's the best. Yeah. But in terms of college, it's a little different. just because it sounds like it's the best doesn't mean it's the best. I've toured plenty of D2 and D1 colleges. You can go to a D1 college and have, a weight room with 2 racks and, a pull-up bar. You can go to a D2 college that happens to have a full set-out weight room and things like that. So I think the issue is a lot of kids don't know the difference truly. They just think D1's better, D2 is worse. But like you've seen, especially this year at the beginning of the year, there was D2s knocking off D1s, even mid-major D1s getting knocked off all year. Mm-hmm. And another thing I found is they don't know the actual difference in who can offer scholarships, because a lot of times the big issue is the scholarships, and obviously like they think Kentucky you get famous and things like that. But the issue with that is not everybody's got that in them. Like that's a whole different ballpark, and kids have to also be one of the things we're really good at is being straight up with kids, man. So it's like, I looked at your highlights. I'm going to send you some highlights from one of my buddies who played D2 with me, and he went pro. And if yours doesn't look even close to this, you're probably not at that level yet. You need to work before you get to that D1 level.
Mm-hmm. All right. Kevin, what you got on that subject? Oh, you muted.
Hold on, Kevin. Unmute yourself, buddy.
For me, I'm a pretty good eye for talent. Kids that can flat out play. And I mean, I'm not as qualified as Troy is in some ways, but in other ways, I had a gift where I could really play, and I should have been playing, getting paid too. And so when I see those kind of players, man, I know how to tell. I can put a story behind it. If that kid can shoot the 3 and he's explosive off the bounce, I got the words. I can put magic to that. And I also like Troy though, because we had interesting experience this week where we finally seen a kid that really just you can't do this. You don't have the skill, but you can connect the kids with the ability and the level they can play at just by what your knowledge of the game. Some are Division 1, some are Division 2, some are Division 3, some are NAIA. But if you know they have the talent to play on any of those levels, why wouldn't you push them to do that? Why wouldn't you encourage them to do that? Mm-hmm. But if they can't play, they can't play.
True. And most people don't realize that in another interview I had, my guy was breaking down the fact that a lot of scholarships are stacked, and they don't get that. They think it's just, I show up, I got my athletic scholarship. No, that's not the case. In a D2 or NAIA situation, it could be academic money, coupled with the athletic money, so that way they can get a better group of athletes, so they can get more kids together that, could project them to win. And most people don't realize that. They just, I got a scholarship. No. What is the actual scholarship breakdown? That scholarship breakdown looks no different than if me, you, or Troy go and apply for a financial aid and we're going to get a breakdown of the money and the way it's going to come, it comes the exact same way. But that, in most cases, never gets talked about. It's just, hey, I got a scholarship. And those are the kind of conversations we got to start to have, too, because people don't understand all the gray area that's in between. So that way they can understand, like, okay, this over here, but yeah, I got a 3.8. Okay, cool. You got a 3.8. School is free. Now this other money, could be technically grant money, and that could go in your pocket. But see, we don't get to that part of it. It's just, just the surface of what people are saying. Just like, the D1 or bust. Once you get past that, great D2s have great offers. Great NAIAs also have great offers where school could be completely free. I had one of my guys, the NAIA in town, the NAIA in town gave him a scholarship offer, and they gave him a scholarship offer before anybody else. The D2 comes in West Virginia, and they almost had him, but he was just like, well, I don't want to move across the country. And then they came back to NAIA that originally offered him with a better offer, was like, yeah, okay, school is free. But he didn't think they could do that at that point. They just didn't want to go to that level if they didn't have to. Whereas in another situation, one of my guys was saying that if Duke and Florida State are recruiting against each other, we understand that Duke has this ridiculous budget. Florida State might not want to recruit against them for this situation. So you got kids saying, hey, I got a Division I scholarship. And now they're like, well, you got it from them? Okay, let me just turn my head over here because I want to have that fight. Whereas I can get the athlete that I want that's, going to better support my program. So a lot of times that comes out, too, where kids can actually sabotage themselves because they say they got this opossum scholarship that, once we start calling each other, because a lot of us know each other, it's just kind of like, did he really get? No, the kid kind of alienated himself at that point. So it's just good to throw that information out there about D1, D2, NEI. I mean, you got some triple CAA schools that can offer some money as well, but they don't get hit a lot.
Yeah, a lot of kids also don't understand the difference between an offer and a scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
An offer is, hey, D3s give out offers all the time. That doesn't mean they're going to give you money to come play. It's an offer is, we are offering a spot on our team to you. A scholarship offer is going to be completely different. A lot of kids don't understand also, it's unfair, but it's not at the same time. It's a business at the end of the day once you get into college, because these coaches this is how they feed their families and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Players don't understand scholarships don't just eliminate tuition. That money comes from somewhere.
Yep.
So, they don't understand that, hey, this coach is, he's taking away $20,000. No. He's giving $20,000 of his budget towards you so you can come play for him. Why would he do that if, like we have a lot of kids come to us and we turn them away as much as we can because they don't understand. They try to get mad at us. If you don't have film, you're not getting an offer.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll come to us without film. And I try to explain it to them like this, if you were going to go to the store and somebody's like, hey, I got something really cool back here you can buy, if you don't show me what I'm buying, then why would I buy it? So you got to show them what they got or what you have so they can buy it from you. It's the same transaction because they're giving you money, and the only difference is if you don't buy it from them or they buy it from you, that they're getting fired because they spent $20,000 on someone that didn't produce, and that they have a losing season and things like that. So then they're losing their jobs. They got to find a new one. It's a lot of stress on their family. So you have to show what you can do before you can get handed $20,000-$30,000. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
What makes, I think me and Troy work so well together because we both do recognize talent, but like he has that perspective that drives what I see, and like I give them that personal connection, like with Devin Becker or McGuire Evans or Landon Compass, just Super Bowl players. I think, was it McGuire went off for 46 the other night?
Yeah.
He's a homeschool kid. Nobody knows anything about him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do. And I'm connected with him and the coach. So I tell Troy, you know what? I got this kid right here. He can ball. He can flat out shoot. What can you do for him?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to find those kids. Ethan Robinson is a boy from New Zealand that's going to change the face of basketball over here when we finally get him here. That boy is so good. Oh, my goodness. And a sophomore.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sophomore in high school. But I tell Troy, I got this kid in New Zealand. It's going to change everything.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do for him? And then I stay connected to them. I go find them. I stay connected to them. And then even when he finds them, he does his thing, and then he tells them, go talk to Kevin.
Mm-hmm.
That's my promoter. He'll keep your highlights flowing and get you the exposure you need so that they can be seen. Because their skills is what get us done. It's not us.
Mm-hmm.
We just know talent. And he knows the system.
Yep. All right. So I want to get into, do parents have enough information when it comes to this situation of what we're trying to do?
No. A lot of kids I talk to, their parents don't know anything about, it's not a hate on them. Not everybody's a athletic family, but a lot of the kids we talk to, their parents don't even know anything about basketball. I talked to a lady the other day, such a sweet lady. I mean, her questions weren't even about what we can do for her son. Her questions were about what her son is doing,
Mm-hmm.
So like, what is the process he's going through? I'm new to all this. And I understand that's the way my mom was. She just came to the game and yelled at the refs. That was her job. She didn't really know what was going on a lot of times. She just liked it when I scored. She yelled at the refs. So, a lot of parents, they don't have an idea of what athletic scholarships are. They don't have an idea of where to show their kid. They don't have an idea of, they don't really know how good their kid is. Obviously, they're going to be biased, but I've had a lot of kids being like, a lot of parents I've talked to when their son or daughter wasn't around, where they're like, he's pretty good, but I don't know, what level he can play at. I'm not that sure. We just want him to go to school. And I look at their highlights. I'm like, this kid can play at another level of basketball that you don't fully understand once you look into it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't know. The issue I've found is they don't have that connection with somebody who can help them, because everybody shouldn't have to know who to call to get a scholarship. There's people out there to help you like that. A lot of people, parents in general don't have the understanding, like we talked about earlier, of the difference in levels, scholarships, where that money comes from. Their kid can actually get paid to go to school if they have the right academics and athletic money, or just
Mm-hmm.
academics. And they don't understand that. And kind of, that's the biggest issue I've found with parents, especially not having the knowledge of what's going on.
Yep, definitely. All right. All right, so staying in that same realm of scholarships, touch briefly on just the actual grades aspect, because I know I get kids that come to me and they're just kind of like, my guy, I can't do nothing for you. You got 1.6.
Yeah. So for us, the way we have in our system, we have an email template, right? We have lower academic and higher academic for who you're reaching out to, and we consider higher academic 3.0 or above, because in college that's considered decent academic. So, a lot of kids reach out to us, hey, can you help me? And I'm like, okay, I need a list of things you're gonna have to tell me before I can tell you. We're not just like, yeah, come on. I need a list of things. So, your grade, year, your position, height, weight, because there's not a 5-foot point guard in the country I can help. There's also not a 7-foot center with a 1.0 I can help. So it's kind of like that. It's that realm of what and if you have a lower GPA, it doesn't matter how much they want you. If you can't play, he's not going to give you an offer, because a lot of kids don't know. Like, they hear it a lot, like, keep your grades up. It's just as important. But they don't understand once you get to that collegiate level, if you don't have the grades, it is not allowed for you to touch the court, not even at practice. Like, you're basically off the team. When I was at Young Harris, which is the Division II I played at, we had a couple of guys that, they're, I think, 2.0 in the middle of the season. If you drop below that, you're automatically ineligible. So when we were playing, there was just one day where at the end of the semester they checked their grades and they were done. That was it. No more scholarships. Scholarship's gone. They'll pull your athletic scholarship. They'll pull your financial aid scholarship. You'll lose everything because you've dropped below to a point where you can't even play on the team, and it's getting to a point to where the school's almost going to have to let you go, kind of deal. Where it's not only athletic, it's academic. You're on probation and things like that. So it's not hard. I know a lot of people make it sound like it's hard. It's not hard to maintain a 2.5 in college if you just focus on what you're doing and adequately manage your time. That's all it's about, is managing time, because anybody can. It's not like they just throw you in the water and make you swim. Especially if you're an athlete, they're going to help you as much as they can. You're going to get that assistance, especially if you go JUCO and prep. Like, I tell a lot of kids, if your grades aren't there and you have the talent, go JUCO, get your grades up, work with guys, because a lot of those guys know what they're doing in terms of helping kids academically and athletically. So you're going to get more of that individual focus in a lot of JUCOs than you would if you went to a big D2 school where the coaches are scouting 500 teams and they're always recruiting and things like that. So that's kind of where I go with that in terms of academics and scholarships with that.
Okay. All right. So now my next one would be, since we're all doing great things on social media. However, though, social media has played a significant part in some situations with athletes, just from the standpoint of, either propelling or derailing. A lot of times we see a lot of derailing in careers because guys go and want to do what's cool. Why do we think that's such an issue, even though we have the information right there in front of the kids saying, hey, this is probably what you shouldn't do?
Yeah. You got anything for that, Kevin? I know I've been talking a lot for the last two. Go ahead.
Well, it's kind of like the misunderstanding of what coaches are looking for is big. Because it's like, even when they want to plug all this music in, or they want to have a jumbled up highlight reel with a bunch of different games, so you can't even see what they really did in a game, because you got all this mixture. Coaches, they're like, okay, that doesn't really show me a lot. You got these bits and pieces of stuff, but what did you do during a stretch of time? Or like, they leave blank bios. Coaches don't know anything about you. They want to know what is in you. What are you about? Or just little things. Or like, you try to tell them highlights are important. Well, I really don't like highlights. How do you think a coach is going to tell you to come for a scholarship if you can't show me some highlights? I don't offer you on your word that you're good. So it's kind of, they self-defeat themselves sometimes. And then when Troy gets a little testy, because he'll tell them, if you'll do this little thing, this will help you. And they'll be like, no, I don't want to do that. Well, I can't help you. And the tips are out there. People like us are always telling them, this is what'll help you. And either they'll do it or they won't. Or even like his spreadsheet. He gives them instructions how to work that perfectly. And then they don't follow it, and then they're telling us, well, it's not working. Well, are you working it? I haven't looked at the instructions. Well, that's why it's not working.
Yeah, he's not lying. I do get a little testy. But the way our system's set up, the way our system's set up is that coaches don't want to hear from Coach Troy about Donovan or Joshua. They want to hear from Joshua about Joshua. So the way it's set up is we give you perfect instructions. We set everything up for you like a blueprint for when you're reaching out to these coaches, because they don't want to hear from me about how good you are. They want to hear from you and see how you are as a person. So along with that social media topic, a lot of people derail themselves because, it sounds cliche and everybody's adults, but it's more of like, are you willing to do this kind of thing? Like, we hate seeing highlights where there's flashing lights and fire coming from the floor. Nobody wants to see that. The coach isn't asking how good you are at editing. He wants to see if you can shoot the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing people do is it sounds small because, not all coaches are necessarily big on this, but say you're going to, your only option's a Christian school that offered you, and you got, some little baby in the back that's just letting profanity come out of his mouth every 3 seconds. You just lost that offer just based off that because you don't fit their moral standing and how their culture is. So we tell a lot of guys, just use an instrumental, be safe. I promise your friends thinking your highlights are cool isn't as good as a college coach thinking they're cool. So that's one of the things in derailing themselves on social media, man. It's so easy. If you retweet the wrong thing, I mean, it could be something that you don't even think's that bad that should strike coaches and other athletes wrong, and it'll really tank you, and you'll go down the toilet quick with that. Like, I think there was a football player recently that had some issues with that, and he was singing something, and and had a scholarship pulled. That's how easy it is. You can have an offer and it'll go away.
Mm-hmm.
If you make one mistake. That's all it is. That's all it takes, one mistake, especially if you're highly touted and things like that. So one mistake can really ruin everything for you if it's bad enough.
Exactly. And I can't remember the young lady's name. I think she was in Tennessee. Was she no, she might have been Tennessee or Mississippi, where her boyfriend for prom or whatever decided to have a couple of guns in the background. It was just kind of like they seen it and they pulled her whole scholarship, and they're just kind of like, well, they shouldn't do that. No, they should, because they have to protect their image as well in the media, because the alumni association is gonna say, what? Okay, this is the talent you're bringing in. Somebody's gonna have that conversation, and that's gonna be an easy conversation. So rather than put themselves in that position, they're just gonna cut bait, and people don't realize that because it's about the business of it. Like we all know, it's just about the business of it. How are you going to lose in this situation if you bring in this person that could be potentially problematic? Or it might not have even been the young lady. What if the dude shows up and he walks into a game forgetting that he's got the gun on him? Bro, that's not the place for this. And then especially in the prom picture, it's like you've been vilified for something that might have been seen as harmless, but at the same time, you got to look at what the ramifications are going to end up being.
I definitely
tell you
agree.
something else that I noticed, that when you got the good social media thing rolling, coach contacts them, and you blow it when you talk to the coach. You don't know how to communicate well enough, and all your talent is worthless because the coach is listening to you going, I can't have that here representing my program. I mean, that's big too, and kids don't know that, and they got this sense of entitlement because I got this little skill that nothing else really matters, including the grades, including your communication skills, including your willingness to learn and keep developing and growing. I'm just all of that, so I don't have to worry about it. Killer. It's a scholarship killer.
Absolutely agree. A lot of kids lose their potential offer because they're, what's up, coach? How's everything going over there, coach? It should be, hey, coach, how are you doing? You want to talk professionally to these professionals because that's what they are. You aren't yet, but that's what they are. So you kind of, it's unfair a little bit that you're expected to talk in a way like you've been doing this for a while, but that's kind of one of the things we preach is, when you're reaching out to a coach, have something set that you're going to say. Don't just wing it. Don't say, hey, coach, what's up? He doesn't know who you are. Why would he respond to that? He probably gets 100 of those a day. So stand out, be more professional than others, and be, you got to grow up fast with that one. You got to grow up quick and learn and mature in terms of how you talk. And, if you're just typing and there's no punctuation in it and things like that, it sounds small, but it just kind of gives an idea of, this kid doesn't even have the attention to detail to make sure he's grammatically correct when he's talking to him, kind of thing. So it kind of all pulls together, in my opinion.
Yep. Great answers for that one. All right. So where I wanted to go with the conversation now is, as far as the kids, we got the kids well established and anything like that. But what I wanted to ask is, as far as us, how do we encourage others and push said culture forward?
When you say culture, do you mean in terms of helping the kids, in terms of, pushing that agenda of where you need to focus on everything, not just your talent? Is that what you're saying?
Yep, that, and at the same time too, from the young level, when I think it was a good point, like our head coach at the JUCO I'm at, what he did one time is he kind of yelled at our guys, but it was an indirect yell. And what it was is he was kind of ticked off because they didn't understand that, every time a little kid is out here, he's idolizing you guys. So it's kind of like you're cheating, said certain things when you're in front of these people because you're not giving your all because you may be frustrated with your day. That's cool. But in this time that you between these lines, just have fun. If you just have fun and play hard, a lot of things are going to go well for you. But at the same time, too, it's not like you're going to be out there like, okay, like we losing. Okay, I can't shoot today. Okay. Yeah, those things might be going on. But just those two things in your mind, if you just focus on that, that'll get you through that game, and it might prepare you to have a better game. And if it's not for yourself to have a better game, you might be the hockey assist person that day where your stats are not reflecting this, but at the same time, look what you just did uplifting-wise for your team. So it was those points that we were getting into that day where we just had to have like a little town hall. Because with us, we got a lot of freshmen, so we understand there's going to be a lot of bumps and bruises this year just because certain things, you guys are all 18.
Young guys.
Exactly. So it was
this is what I push really, really hard. I don't even know if Troy knows this because we've never talked about it. But a part of the personal connection that I have, I know about their games when they have good games, when they have bad games or whatever. And I'll tell them, dude, if you don't score 20 points, okay, your shots are not going to fall every game. But what can you bring? Mm-hmm. What energy can you bring to impact that game for your team? If you're not scoring, be a beast on the boards. Drop a bunch of dimes. Make a bunch of steals. Do something to keep impacting that game. Coaches are watching that because they know you're not going to score 20 or 30 points every night. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do when your shot is not falling? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do when you got a good defender on you that doesn't allow you to put up those big numbers? Are you going to shrug your shoulders and kind of get down on yourself and not play anymore? They want to see that. So I encourage them every time you're on that floor. If those first few shots aren't falling, you find another way to turn it up. And you are always making sure that you're doing something major to impact that game. It doesn't always have to be scoring. It can be all these other areas where you can do things. And if you're not that guy that night, push another guy to be that guy. So I ain't got it tonight, brother. I need you to catch this. I need you to catch this slack today. Mm-hmm. There's always something that you have to do to make your impact felt in a game. And even if you have to be a cheerleader that night, even that helps. You got to do that. If you're not the star, don't sit over there sulking, pouting. They're watching you. Mm-hmm. They're still watching you. And if you're over there with this attitude all over your face, you think they don't see that? They see that, and that makes a difference in my mind. So I'm always pushing the kids. Do whatever you have to do to make that impact. Never slack up. I got this one guy that's up there in Minnesota. His team is not winning. So he says, I think I just want to make it like a practice. No. What you do is you go out there and you do the best you can do to fuel your team every minute you're out there. Because just because you're losing doesn't give you the opportunity to take a night off. You still have to play, and you have to play hard. You think you're going to get to the next level, and you want to go out there and just go, oh, we're not winning tonight, so I ain't going to play. Coaches are watching you. They see how you perform. If that's your attitude, they ain't bringing you because they know if y'all aren't blowing people out or aren't winning, you ain't going to play. Mm-hmm. They ain't going to bring you in and pay for a scholarship for you to not play. They want to know that you're going to play to that final buzzer sounds. No matter what's going on that floor, you never quit, you never give up, and you always leave it on the court. Everything, every time.
Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah. I know a lot of coaches ask for full game film, and a lot of the players kind of ask me why they ask for that. I'm like, they think it's, they want to see how I look running up and down. They don't want to see you run up and down. They want to see how you act when something goes bad. That's not going to show on your highlights. You take a charge, it's called as a block. You stand up, you start yelling and freaking out. Now, they're not saying don't have energy and don't, everybody's going to get upset about a call, things like that. Like, it's how you react and how you compose yourself quicker, right? So, like, if you get upset about something, the quickness that you can pull yourself back into reality and realize it's not that big a deal, keep pushing, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for when you go to the bench, where do you sit? Do you sit at the end, or do you sit in the middle where you got all your guys, or you sit at the front, talk to the coach? They don't want to see you sitting at the end drinking water, looking at the ground, not watching the game, not clapping. Mm-hmm. In terms of how we can push that, I think that's a culture thing. That starts with the coach. I think we got to stop enabling the star player a lot of times. I would, if I was a coach personally, and what a lot of coaches I've been around done is, they'll take one loss to prove a point to the star player that'll build a bigger culture to where they win further out. So, I've seen, for example, when we were at Young Harris, we sat our best player one time for 40 minutes of a game because the day before practice he was lackadaisical and he wasn't like, he was the only guy not giving energy and being like that. And then he got into the game the next day and he was just kind of all over the place, acting a fool out there, not acting like he really wanted to be there. So my coach sat him, and we got blown out that game. But it set a point. He realized, like, a win isn't as important as the culture of my team, because that's what's going to end up winning. If I score 40 points tonight, we have a bad culture, we're going to lose anyways. So it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. You have to bring it to where, because you're going to have players that are going to have different roles on the team. You might have the guy that, like, go in there, get a steal, you're coming right back to the bench. That might be your role. Your role isn't always going to be go in there, drop 40, get all the girls and get all the fame and things like that. That might not be your role. Your role might be go in there. We're going to ask you to never shoot the ball and just grab boards. That's your job. And, you got to find a way to build that culture. So when they realize, hey, I might just be a rebounder, but I'm in the game and the star player just sat for 40 minutes, it builds that culture and that dynamic around you that, where everybody's got to act a certain way and act right if they're going to want to play on my team. So I think it starts with the coaches on that fact.
Yep, definitely. Agreed. All right. So now I wanted to get into as far as overall goals. And we can hit this with, middle school, high school, before we get to that college setting. What goals should they have in mind just as, just median, as far as what they should be doing to get school paid for? And whether that's partially paid for or whether it's fully paid for. However, though, what are the steps that they should take looking at leaving middle school, going into high school? Let's call that the 6-year box.
I think work ethic is massive. They have to understand you get out of this what you put in it. So that off the court game time strategy and work ethic is major. You have to perfect that art. You have to work on that shot. You have to work on those handles. You have to work on that passing hard without eyes on you. Just you out there doing your thing, working, learning and perfecting that craft. And no matter how good you are, you can't take time off. You have to keep elevating that skill. You have to keep honing that skill. And in my mind, even when you go to play a pickup game, you don't play with people less skilled than you. You always play with people better than you, so that you keep elevating your skills according to the talent level you play against. Because in order to be the best, you have to beat the best. You have to compete with the best. You have to practice like the best. Superstars aren't born. They are made through hard work. And you got to get that in the kids in middle school, so they're not lazy, they're not lackadaisical, and they understand, if I want this, I have to work hard to get it. Nobody's going to give it to me. I don't have a right to it just because I got a little skill. Because if I stay stuck here, the kids that are still working are gonna pass me. And I'm going to be unnoticed. I'm going to be unknown because I didn't keep working. I didn't keep improving. I didn't keep perfecting my art as well as maintaining those grades. Because as Troy said, you can have all the skill in the world, but if your grades say you can't get on that court, you can't get on that court. And all that skill won't help you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. In terms of, I don't believe in setting a bunch of long-term goals, personally. That's not how I did it. That's not how a lot of people I've talked to do it. I believe you want one big goal. Hey, I want to play college basketball. And you can have smaller goals like, what level you want to play at, but I think you trickle down and make sort of a funnel, right? So I want to play college basketball, should be up here, and then you got the steps coming down. It's talking about middle school. I think, a lot of players don't understand. And a common misconception is going to game speed, and when you're training doesn't mean just running as fast as you can. That might mean going slow to get things down, going slow and then speed them up a little bit. You're not always running as fast as you can. Those players don't play. That's the player, like I was saying, go in there, get a steal, and come back. That's the guy you send in there for that, because that's hard to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
I think learning, so there's difference between working hard and working smart, and if you combine those, then that's when you get that real level of skill. So I think you should definitely, in terms of setting goals and the steps they should take from down to middle school, I think middle school should be your slowest progression in terms of you need to focus on things that are the most important for when you're building, because no college is looking at you when you're 12 years old. You need to focus on, it sounds cliche, but the fundamentals at that age. You can start getting a little different and working on different things once you get older, but you want to master your form, how you run. A lot of kids don't know how to run, which leads to injuries and things like that when they get older. I mean, learning yourself and how you play, and then at that age, obviously focusing on grades is the most important thing, and building a culture around them. So the steps I would say you take is you learn how to work hard, because a lot of people think they work hard, but they don't know what they're doing. They're just out there, like the guys are like, I make 300 shots a day. I'm like, okay, what shots? Well, I'm just out there shooting. Okay, so you shot around for 3 hours today is what you did. You didn't make 300 shots. You just shot around and kept counting how many you made. You need to have a set game plan of what you do, and that's going to be different for every player and their skill set, but a set game plan of what you do every day. And you don't have to work out 5 times a day to get better. I would rather work out 1 hour or an hour a day extremely hard and very smart than work out 3 times a day for 3 hours and just out there doing whatever, because that doesn't help you in the long run. In terms of getting better, you got to know what you're getting better at instead of just going out there shooting and thinking about what you're working on.
I want to piggyback on what he's saying, as far as I also encourage him, what do you want your specialty to be? Do you want to be a 3-point shooter? Do you want to be a defensive stopper? Do you want to be a rebounder? What is that you see yourself that you can absolutely be the best you can be at? Whatever that is, that's what you work on the hardest. And when I agree with Troy, there's got to be a technique to that, but you got to know what you want first before you can even get to the technique. I want to be a 3-point specialist. Well, where did you shoot today? 300 3-pointers. Well, where did you shoot them from? Or was it just random, or did you go to a spot and master that spot for 300 shots at the 3-point range? And then you just develop what craft you want to be the master of, and you just keep fine-tuning that and keep building on that, keep working that. Doesn't mean you don't do other things, but I mean, you just got to know this is what I want to be the best at, and you work that. That's what I think. What do you think about that, Troy?
I think every player has a specialty. I think that's kind of like, even your LeBrons and your Michael Jordans and things like that, even to that level, they have some sort of specialty. For example, LeBron James is probably the best floor general of all time in terms of he can dominate every realm. He's not necessarily the absolute best at everything, but he's dominant at everything to a level. So, he has that obviously specialty where he's mastered knowing the game more than everybody else. You can see that when people talk about him in podcasts and things like that. He's like, yeah, LeBron was talking to me. He said back cut if he looks away. I got a backdoor dunk when he looked away. He knows what he's talking about. Michael, obviously his thing was scoring. Like, you got to master one part of the craft and then get really good at everything else. It's not about being decent at everything, especially if your goal is to play in college. You're not going to go out there and they're not going to say, all right, for the most case. Obviously there's, outliers and things like that, but in most cases, the difference between high school and college is the system play. You're not going to be the guy out there taking 50 dribbles, dunking on everybody. You're going to be the guy out there. He's going to say, look, I need you to penetrate, kick to this corner because that's what we're running. So that's the biggest difference in my opinion.
Definitely. All right. And then I wanted to transition into, why do so many student athletes avoid the weight room?
I think it's because they don't know what they're doing. They're in there trying to squat 500 pounds. They probably had a point to where they got hurt in the past because they had bad form. I'm a big preacher on the weight room. And the thing about that is it's honestly, they see all these guys in the NBA that are, skinny. You don't realize you're seeing them on TV. In person, that's a 270-pound man. Like, he's a lot bigger than you think. And also, they don't understand the difference between lifting heavy weights and being strong that's applicable to your sport. So, for example, basketball, the biggest thing you have in basketball is your core strength. You want to be strong on the core, so when someone hits you, you don't go flying. Strong legs, strong core, strong base. I'm not saying you got to be benching 315 pounds, but you want to be strong in the aspect of where when someone hits you, you don't move, kind of thing. So that's kind of why I think kids avoid the weight room. A lot of kids are lazy compared to what they think. They're like, I want this. Well, okay, this is what comes. I don't want to do all that. Okay, so you don't want it bad enough, or you're not gonna go get that. And then another thing is they don't know what they're doing, like I said, and they don't have someone to push them to do that. A lot of kids don't go because nobody's pushing them to do it. They have a coach in high school when they go in the weight room, they just kind of walk around, let them play on their phones and kind of do whatever and listen to music instead of pushing them to get into that weight room. And that's what we're knowing because the coach that's showing you what to do in the weight room has to know what he's doing also, you know.
Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. My next one would be time management and just the commitment behind what you're seeking to do. But as you already said, Troy, just laying out the actual goals and what they actually are, because that's going to align with that too. If you know how much time you need to spend on something, you're more inclined to go about it that way because you actually got a plan in place. So more or less of that, just because I don't think that people just understand, like, sticking to that plan. Or as I was talking with a gentleman Thursday night, we were talking about kids and not necessarily just the peer pressure from the friend circle, but even from family and friends that, they're tugging at you for this time, but at the same time, where you have to be. So I think a lot of kids get, they don't know which side to pick on that because do I disappoint or do I disappoint? But if I disappoint them, then, essentially I'm disappointing myself too because they don't know how to navigate between all those different people that are, tugging at their time.
Yeah, absolutely. So my biggest thing with that is you got to understand who is important to give your time to. Your time is the most valuable thing. That is the only thing in life that you cannot get back.
Yep.
You have to have a certain aspect of it. And it's not necessarily saying that person's not important, but when you give them your time, are you getting value back? So I think in terms of time management, I would obviously put yourself first. Being selfish is not a bad thing, especially as an athlete. You want to be able to, make sure, because if you're not mentally straight, then you're not going to be able to play well, then you're not going to help your teammates, and it trickles down, and you're hurting more people not being good yourself than you are if you were, helping everybody else and not worried about yourself and things like that. So I think in terms of time management, blocking out your day. You don't have to study for 10 hours a day. If you have a test on Friday, you study 30 minutes every day on that subject. Because I know you start getting into this realm in college especially, where it's like, you're like, I got all this stuff and it's spread out over a long period of time and I got to fit all this stuff. Time block your day. Give yourself breaks. Give yourself time to relax and watch TV, watch some NBA, play 2K, whatever you want to do. But the issue is, it's kind of like when people, they sit down and watch a TV show and they look up and they watch 7 episodes. You got to give yourself a time limit for that. Like, I want to play 2K. Okay, how long are you going to play? I'm going to play 2 games and I'm off. Cool. Play 2 games and get off. Don't play 2 games and then look through the settings, go back through and play another game. You got to time yourself in terms of, I have this to do today and I need to set this time blocked up enough to where I can get everything done in one day, because you're going to be busy as an athlete. There's people that, have regular lives that do things every day and they're busy, and then you're just adding a sport on top of that. So it's a lot of pressure, and you take that path. It sounds unfair, but you decide to take that path. You don't have to play basketball. You decide to take that path. So you have to own what comes with it, and that's that time management. I block out 6-hour increments. You got 4 of those, and you find out what you want to do in those increments at a time, and then you time block that inside there, so it keeps up with your schedule and how you want to do things. And obviously having fun is a big thing, because if you're not having fun, you're not going to play good.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to get into where is that? Nope, you guys already did that one. Okay, so this is a dicey one here. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago. And JUCO Advocate did a really good job about this, about essentially telling on people that were coming up with these things. But we had the fake school, like fake prep school, fake JUCO epidemic going on. And a couple of, just like kids, were being taken advantage of with some of the money they're trying to get out to people to promote them. One of the things that came up with kids were paying like $3,000, $4,000 for athletic fees for these schools that didn't exist. And then us as community coaches, we like, oh, okay, wait a minute, they're supposed to be in JCAA. Okay, it should be on the website, right? And we go to to the website, and that school's not here. And a lot of us are like, we never heard of that school. You reach out to somebody in that region and it's not there. So you had those kind of situations going on that I think like kind of gave situations outside of high school like a black eye, because we would Google it as far as the actual address aspect of it, and it would be a light pole. It's like, wait a minute, you got counsel from somebody that directed you to a light pole. There's not even a physical building here. Have either one of you guys heard any about those kind of situations?
Oddly enough, I can't 100% confirm right now because we're not at that level, but we've been having some issues with that lately in terms of my platform's growing very widely and very sparsely. I'm talking in terms of hundreds of thousands of views on certain posts, and then that brings in, that trickles in some unwanted attention. So some issues we've been having lately, I can't confirm 100% in terms of if it's true or not or if it's accurate or not, but, players come to me, players come to Kevin, are they legit? And I've never gotten this issue with like a college saying they're a college, but prep schools. So, we'll go look at their site. Oh, our site's not up yet. Okay, well, that's red flag number one. Number two is you reach out and you're messaging me and you're supposed to be a part of a school where academics are key, and you don't have, your message is all crazy. I can't really understand it when I'm reading it. And you're sending me, no coach is going to spam you with things. I promise they don't want you bad enough to where they're sending you 13 things in a row. So what I preach is a lot of the athletes who are getting scammed by these prep schools and things like that is just because they're not just looking at it and like, okay, this doesn't sound like something a coach would say to me, or like, like you said, takes you to a light pole. Why didn't you look into it a little bit more before you gave them your money, or before you were, hey, like for example, one of the prep schools that was messaging one of our guys was like, check your email, you got an offer. No coach is going to do that. No. That's not how that works. You just got to be more aware. He sent that to me, and I said, don't even open that email. I wouldn't even open that email. If you lose out on this, blame me. If this was a real school and they gave you an offer, you go ahead and blame me. But I would rather you be mad at me because you missed this than you go here and spend $20,000 and never hear from them again. You know what I mean? So I kind of preach, just look into what you're doing before you do it. Even colleges, you never know what can happen, especially in the world of social media and today, and how anybody can get your phone number or email. I think, look into what you're looking at before you move forward, because that's, especially if it's involving large sums of money.
Yeah. We had an incident recently to where we were looking into one, and it seems like it was legit, even to the website. Even had a website, and the red flag for me, I didn't even tell you this, Troy, is that I went and looked at the website, and they had this big bulky number on the website, but they told this kid, oh, you got to pay us $2,000, and then if you want to pay $2,000, then they would charge so much for the rest of the semester, and you would have to pay the rest of the fees. But if you pay $2,500 up front, then that'll be the whole fee for the whole semester. But I'm reading the website, and it says $9,500, including athletic fees and this, that. There is some scholarship money available, but this is what we charge. And I told them, I said, no, they say $9,500 right there. Well, they told us $2,000, and then I'm looking at the site, it says $9,500. Something ain't right with that, because why am I looking at $9,500 and they're telling you $2,000 over an extended period of time? You start with $2,000, but if you pay $2,500 at one time, that's it. No prep school is charging you only $2,500, and so I'm going, yeah, y'all need to leave that alone. And then so now, when the prep schools follow me, or they're contacting somebody, I call Troy. So Troy, you need to look into this prep school right here. And something funny is because I can't get him the screenshots that they give me, or whatever, however they're doing it. I can see the full thing, but I can't send it to Troy. So we're trying to figure out how to sort that out. He's going to have to teach me. I'm not good with technology. But they're getting it to the kids, and it looks good. It looks good. But now we found out, no, I'm going to tell Troy so he can go check that out because he's the one that gets to the bottom of most things on that fraud stuff when it comes to that pretty fast. Because I'll tell you another situation where me and Troy experienced early when we joined. Oh, I want to name this scholarship after you because of all the wonderful work that you do. We're not going to name any names, but that was the situation. And Troy tell you, I'm going to name this scholarship after you. And I did this big write-up. You got the bio that I wrote up for that so-called scholarship. And, I mean, sounded good, and they were just pounding my chest. And Troy knew him, though. And he was like, I don't know about that, Kevin. And he was like, and he started naming the red flags that he saw right off the rip. But I'm going,
for example, where that money comes from. That money has to come from somewhere. Where are you getting money?
Yep.
So the scholarship part, though, was like, we wouldn't let him in the network at all. And he pushed hard to get in the network. Trust no, he ain't getting in here. We ain't letting him in here. But the scholarship, I'm thinking, it's a scholarship. You're going to help a kid. So surely that's got to be, and I'm all right with that. But when I gave my bio, and Max Rossley, the guy that I started this for, he contacted him. And he was like, I want to help you get an NIA letter. What you mean an NIA? He's already signed. He's going to school already. He don't need to sign nothing with you. So now I'm freaking out and I'm going, Troy, this dude, he messaged Max. And Max called, he messaged me right away, Kevin. This guy has messaged me. And he's talking to me about doing this. Do not talk to him anymore. Don't acknowledge him and don't agree to anything. And I know his dad real well. You make sure your dad sees everything in this conversation and you don't make a move without your dad telling you that that's a good move. And I'm telling Troy what's going on. He said, see, I told you that dude ain't no good. He said he's got all kind of red flags. And so, and then he goes nuts. And me and Troy are both like, and I'm in a meeting, and this dude is blasting me while I'm in a meeting and sending me emails talking about I need to sign these legal papers to stop. How do you say it, Troy? I was doing something's client.
So we posted on our Twitter page to save face because we didn't want to be affiliated with any of the things they were doing just in case it ended up being bad. So we put out that 1% Hoops and Kevin Moses are not affiliated with so-and-so, and we got a cease and desist letter on over Gmail that was obviously off the internet, and it said to quit any defamation of character and libel because we said that we weren't affiliated with them. I was just like, you know what, Kevin, just ignore it. Let him keep emailing you. Eventually he'll stop, I promise. So I don't know, that was a weird situation. That's kind of more on your point of how that can turn. Like, especially scammers and things like that, they'll turn it into something way bigger where it goes from we want your money to where they're just going nuts and losing it because you didn't, go forward with it. So that's kind of one of those things where I would say, again, just look into what you're doing. And worst case scenario, if you miss out on an opportunity because it looks sketchy, that's better than going into a sketchy opportunity and losing a lot of stuff. Yep.
That's why I like working with him because if I don't think I know something I understand, Troy, what is that, boy? Tell me what's going on here. And he's like, Kevin, I got this. I'll let you know something. A lot of times he knows right off. He's, nope, there ain't nothing to that. You blow that off. That's not real. That's not good. We ain't doing that. And so, so we work good together like that.
All right, so this one will be for both of you. It's kind of like my curveball, just so people get to know you guys a little better than your background. So this one is, what is your best athletic story? It could include you. It could include a kid. Doesn't matter. But just what's the best story that you've come across that you've personally been part of?
It's kind of a lengthy one for me. When you say in terms of best story, like, favorite moments or like, craziest, wildest thing?
It could be favorite moments. It could be crazy moments. To give you an example, I had one of my guys, he's a coach in our conference. Back when he was a kid, he's coming through this camp and, it was a guys and girls camp. And there was this girl that, she was giving him trouble. And it was like, man, who is this? Like, why I can't do nothing with her? She goes on to play at University of Illinois and gets all these, ridiculous accolades. But at that time, you don't know who they are as kids. You just kind of like, she's talented. But what it did is it actually pushed him like, hey, if I want to actually be about this thing, I need to go about this differently. I need to put in this work. I need to do this because right now I'm definitely not where I want to be. So it could be literally anything.
Okay, yeah, cool. So mine is going to be more of the showing, kind of telling kids how different like D2 can still be. So I obviously went D2 to Young Harris College. We were not the greatest at the first half of the year. I actually came in on the JV team and ended up starting by the second semester. And that was mostly because of exposure and things like that, and that also led into how I started Percent Hoops. But once I came on, we went on an 6 or 8 game stretch of winning that ended with us knocking off the number 6 team in the nation. And I can't remember a time in my athletic career where I had more fun and there was more of a cultural bond than those 6 games. We ended up winning, I think it was 10 or 12 on the season, in terms of everybody wanted to hang out with everybody was having fun, all that kind of stuff. And then just in terms of when you beat a team that is above you to an extent of rankings and things like that, like we weren't even close to being ranked, and 4 of the teams in our conference were. When we beat them, the level of energy and culture that just fumigated from the locker room and the court and everyday practice. The coaches' culture changed. The practice changed. The games changed. The fans changed. Just that one win to top off that 6-game stretch of just destroying people, that it not only changed how the athletes' lives were for the rest of the season, but also the coaches changed. The practice dynamic changed in terms of what we were working on and how much more fun practice was, because when you're winning, it's way more fun to play basketball. So when you're winning, you love to win, and everybody's more happy and wants to mesh better together. Obviously the back end things of the fun that we were having at school with everybody, and we'd walk into a room, people start clapping and things. It was crazy. It was almost like a movie experience that just from that 6-game stretch and then knocking off the number 6 team in the nation, which happened to be USC Aiken at the time.
Okay.
Well, that's hard, because I always like to highlight Max, because he was the one. I'm telling you, that kid was my inspiration. When I found him, he played behind this kid that just shot all the time. It didn't matter what was happening, he was gonna shoot. But Max made his own way to double figures every game. He never took bad shots ever. He rarely misses. That's how good the kid was, right? But the coach didn't really want to work with him, right? So Max gets into the summer and goes off, because that coach is like, this kid can shoot. So Max does his thing, right? And then that injury. And instead of that kid putting his head down and getting down on himself to the point that he gives up his dream, he goes to work. He recovered from a knee injury that was supposed to take 6 to 7 months in like 4. And he just kept grinding, and you would see him put the little post up of him work it out, like Troy's talking about, working out hard on this injury. And he was just so determined that I will not quit. I will live my dream. And that's why me and his dad worked so hard, trying to make sure everybody needs to see this warrior of a kid that will not quit. This is the stuff they make movies about. Because that kid could have easily said, like another kid that we connected with through him, it's over. My knee's ruined. Not going to be able to play anymore.
Yep.
And he just kind of shut down and gave up on life. This kid didn't do that. And he just kept persevering, kept pushing through. And when offers started coming, it just elevated his head harder. Because now he knows I got this opportunity. They still want me to come. And he worked harder. And he kept working harder. How about this? After he signed his scholarship, he still can't play this year. But he's with his team. And he's more or less almost being a student coach off the bench, encouraging his kids, pushing them, doing everything he can do to motivate them. He messaged me the other night. He said, Kevin, in this game, they showed no heart. They just went out there and went through the motions they would play. He said, it made me so mad. He said, they can't do that. They got to understand, you got to fight through everything. And I'm listening to this kid that suffered that he can't even play this year. And there he is, motivating, pushing, coaching these kids and analyzing the game. learning the dynamics of the game itself. When he has no senior year, he had every reason to not do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But there he is. And then he got to where in the fall, he would go to these leagues where the kids are playing and coach a little team. Or like, I'm gonna keep the score. I'm gonna keep the stats. You know, the kid just, wow, so many great qualities in Max Crossley that keeps inspiring me over and over and over with that guy. I told him and his dad, I can't wait to come see him play because I'm going to go watch him play at UMary when he plays this fall.
Okay.
I want to meet this kid. I got to see this little warrior that had no quit in him, and he just kept digging down and building himself up till he got what he wanted. And then he still was a shining example and a light to everybody. That you don't quit and you keep pushing through. You can do this. Y'all can do better. Don't settle for mediocrity. A kid, a high school kid, with that kind of driving mentality, how could you not be inspired by that? So that is my story, my greatest story, I think. And I don't think I'll ever have one greater than that. If it is, it's going to be Devin Baker, who also suffered 2 injuries and could have quit. And he didn't. And, oh, man, I'll let Troy talk about him if he chooses to later. Devin Baker's a beautiful story, too.
Devin Baker's
an awesome story.
Yeah.
Okay. So supporting that, the kids just like effort, drive, and anything like that, but more importantly, becoming a student of the game so that way they can understand these complex actions when they might get to a college when they have to play with a shot clock. How important is it to actually study the game that you're playing and not just always go play?
Well, I think, first of all, there should be a shot clock at every level. I don't know why there isn't. I mean,
Same here.
JV, JV maybe not, because they're scoring, they might not score over 30 points anyways and things like that. But once you get into high school, the whole goal of high school is getting to college. If that's your, if you're playing, and whether it's a 35, 40 second, whatever you want to do, there should be something where the games aren't, I've seen plenty, especially for some reason it's a really big issue, and I think it's Wisconsin or something like that. That specific state, they love to just hold the ball for a quarter. That's the only place I see it for some reason. But off of that, in terms of, okay, repeat the question one more time. I went on a tangent.
No, you're good. No, just kids studying the game and then, just being prepared for those shot clock moments. We hope they come, but,
Right, got you. Okay, yeah. So studying the game in terms of that, like, for example, like you talked about Max, just wanting to be around the game. You learn a lot from just being around it. And picking the brain of people who have been there and have that knowledge and things like that, I think the best thing to do is just be around it as much as you can, even if it's in terms of, just hopping on a call with your buddies and talking about the game the night before. And, once you start doing that, you'll start realizing stuff. And once you hear other people's perspectives, you kind of learn to understand different areas of the game, especially if you're picking the brain of someone who's already been to college and played college basketball and knows that realm, and you're talking to someone who's really, really good. And then another thing that's really good is when you talk to someone who's not quite nearly as good as you and doesn't know as much, and explaining it to them. Because while you explain it, you'll start having those light bulb moments where you're like, oh, okay, well, now I realize that now that I've explained it to him, and now I can teach someone else. Because they say the best teacher was learning at one point. So once you can teach someone something, that's when you know it the best, in my opinion. So that's kind of where I would go with that.
Gotcha. All right. So now I got the last thing that I actually ask, and all this is it's called trophy time. In trophy time, what you're doing is you're promoting 1%, and you're pretty much giving everybody the reason why they should reach out to you guys. Okay. And that's mainly so they know exactly what they know exactly who you are and where it's coming from. Because after I spoke to you, and I spoke to you, Troy, years ago now, and once we realized that was funny to us. But at the same time, you're getting to give the meat and bones behind why you're driven to do these things, and why you're driven to help kids, and why you want to come up with something that is slightly different than the norm of what's going on. So with those kind of things going on, I just think this is cool to highlight people, because having the podcast, cool, but what do people do? And even if you have businesses on the side that are other things too, please highlight all of that so that way people can get in contact with you many different ways. So that way they can,
Yeah.
know that there are positive people out here that really care about kids.
Okay, I want to go first. I
All right.
want to go first.
Okay.
Well, for me, like I said, Max was my inspiration, and that passion to make a difference has always been with me. Every day I get up, I want to make a difference in somebody's life in a positive way. I want to give them hope. I want to give them encouragement. I want to give them there is somebody in this world that values me. Every single day. I've been in ministry for a long time. I'm a minister. I've been in ministry for a long time. And it's all about what can I do to help the next guy. It's not about money. It comes and it goes. It's all right to have it. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't have it, but shouldn't you help somebody else who can't help themselves or who just need a little boost in some way? And so for me, when I started focusing on the group of kids, the types that I wanted to help, and put myself and my own experience in that, because I was a baller that wasn't given an opportunity to shine, that ended up having to give my dream up because I had a kid early in life. And so the denial to be able to play high school ball, but having the ability and the skill to get the opportunity to play at a JUCO and an NAIA, because I played in the summer, hoop it up, and I was well known for being able to play ball. Imagine me, I'm only 6'2". When I was younger, 6'3". You kind of get that stupid when you get a little older. I played center and power forward my whole career at that size. I could jump out of the gym, and the shortest guy I normally would guard was about 6'7", and they would almost laugh at me because you only 6 foot something, nothing. What do you think you gonna do with me down there? Okay, that's all right. Come on. I'll pin your shot on the backboard. I don't care. Think you gonna dunk on? Nobody ever dunked on me, ever. And the shortest guy I guarded was 6'7". So when I coupled my experience with what I see with so many kids slipping through the cracks because they don't get that open door opportunity, nobody cares enough to push them. And like the small schools, the home schools, the ones that can't afford AAU, the ones that are always ignored for one reason or another, they have the skill. They just need somebody to believe in them. So through my experience and through Max, I decided that's the target group for me. I don't want the 4 stars. I don't want the 5 stars. Troy don't mind having them. But those aren't the ones I push the hardest. Landon Compass is 5'11". That kid plays like he's 6'9", because he rebounds better than any big guy I've ever seen. And he does all his scoring in the paint right now. He's still developing his outside shot. He does all that. He's an all-stater at 5'11", and he doesn't shoot threes. He scores in the paint. He's one of the top rebounders in their state at his position. He gets more steals than anybody. I've never seen such an electrifying player at that size in my whole life. But he goes to a Christian school. The state knows a little bit about him because he's an all-stater, but nobody knows him. Nobody's even heard anything of him. And when you look at him, he's just this little bitty kid. He's not big, but he's explosive. He can play. Why shouldn't he have that opportunity? So that's the kid that I want, or Devin Baker, or Ethan Robinson, or McGuire Evans, or Grant Campbell. Those kids have the ability to play with anybody, anywhere. They just need somebody to believe in them. And there's nobody promoting them, there's nobody pushing them, nobody supporting them until they came to us. And here we are.
Yep.
And Troy helps me take this to a whole new level. Because I had the vision, I had the dream. I was doing good things. And then Troy was like, boy, I like what you're doing. It sounds good. I would like to see how that plays out. And then before long, I want to be a part of that. What can we do together? And then we keep building and building and building. Even you, here you come, because we're doing something that's making a difference, and we're doing it well. So, I mean, the vision and the dream to help those that have no real drive behind them other than their skill and their heart to want to get to the next level. We want to be that door. We want to be that avenue. Not that we get it done. It's their skills that gets it done. But somebody got to promote them. Somebody got to show the world. Look at Landon Compass. Look at Devin Baker. Look at Grant Campbell. They got to show them. And that's where me and Troy kick in together real well. Because we both find them. And together we show them. And now we've got these other groups, even yours, that link with ours, we got more exposure than any group out there now. And you help with that. I want you to know that. Nobody can get any kid any more exposure than us. Nobody can. And so that is massive, because that's what it takes. They just need to be seen. So somebody can go, where'd that kid come from? How's that little fella doing all that? If they don't see him, they don't know that. So that's what we do. We make sure they get that exposure. And then he gives them that spreadsheet. And I'm going to teach you how to talk to coaches. I'm going to tell you what to say. And then you can hear his knowledge of the game and how this whole recruiting thing works so well that he can answer almost every question any kid could have, no matter what your skill set is, no matter what division you could play at. Between me and Troy, we can cross all the T's and we can dot all the I's. We just need you to say, help me. And if you got any skill, me and Troy can help you. That's very true.
That's very true.
Nice.
So you can find everything we have at www.1-percent-hoops.com, or you can just Google 1% Hoops. It'll pop up, or find us on Twitter at 1% Hoops. And what I've done that pairs well with what Kevin does is Kevin is the personal aspect. He is the biggest part of the promotion, and we handle most of the back end stuff with the site and the business aspects and keeping kids safe in terms of, when somebody reaches out to them, is this real or is this not real? That's more of my part. I do the back end stuff. I've gotten more into building the connection with the kids now. We actually allow them to book a phone call, 15, 20 minutes, where they can get advice, and we kind of run them through what they can do. And obviously we show them what we have, and maybe, if that can help them, obviously they can go forward with that. So what we've put together at 1% Hoops is, I developed this when I was, like I said, when I got out of the sales job I was in, and they were utilizing the CRM. It's a system with an email template where you just plug your info in, and it's a spreadsheet with over 1,300 coaches that we update every, I say 3-4 weeks, maybe every other month, depending on how the coaching changes go. And then it utilizes the software that allows you to keep all 50 of those emails. It allows you to send 50 instantly. You just click a button, and it's like a mass email, but it keeps all the emails individualized. So, coaches don't want to see that, hey, coach. They want to see, hey, coach, Moses, hey, coach Troy, whoever. And so it keeps all 50 of those emails individualized. So say you send out, 10 emails, email 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 will all be different, have a different coach's name, a different school name in there. And it allows you to just have more options, because what I preach to kids a lot of times, it may not be fair and everybody might not agree with it, but, I like researching the schools before I reach out. It's like, who cares if they have your art degree if they weren't going to give you a scholarship to play, or if they weren't going to meet your criteria. I would say get the options before you decide, this school fits my criteria. So we preach, so Young Harris, when I was there, we averaged 98 points a game. We were third in the country in scoring. We pressed all game, and when we attacked on offense. So that's kind of where the idea of attack, the whole process goes. We preach being proactive. And then along with that, we built a community of promoters like Kevin, like Parks to Pros, like Uncommitted, Top Preps, and others, that once you get in with us, that we start promoting you, and it becomes exponential. So, I post something, it may get 2,000 views, but then Kevin retweets it, it gets another 2,000, then Top Prep retweets it, and then it starts to get to 60, 50. We had a thread one time that was it was for a D1 and a D2 coach that I'll personally know, and they wanted some power forwards and guards and things like that, and ended up having 200 kids comment on it. Those two teams ended up offering 3 of the kids. 18 other kids ended up getting offers from schools I've never talked to. It just happened to get out that wide from all of our promoters retweeting it and liking it and things like that. So that's really what we do. We're about also keeping it very affordable for kids, because what we run is a well-oiled machine, and if that machine isn't full of cognitive parts, which is the kids, it won't be running. So we keep it as affordable as possible, to where we keep the site running and everything runs smoothly and well, to where the kids can get in and actually get the help they need without paying that $3,000 to have someone never really talk to them again. We give out our cell phone numbers as well with the kids, so they can reach us anytime, whether it's about recruiting or basketball in general, because I'm well versed in that realm as well.
And what sets us apart from everybody else, the kids need to know this, is that personal touch of my side, because I connect with these kids every 2, 3, 4 days to talk to them individually. Just talk to them. How is everything going? Are you okay? How's the recruitment? How is life going? Did you have a game this week? What was your game like? Do you know that there was some kids got sick or whatever? If you need anything, all you got to do is give us a call. We're here. Or like if they need little things, like there was a kid that needed a laptop to be able to get the spreadsheet. Well, I got you. The kids need to know they matter. They're not just a face in the crowd. They're not just a number. They really matter to us. We want to enjoy your journey with you like a family. We're building a family. And I am that personal touch that connects that dot so strong that the parents are crazy about me, the kids are crazy about me, the coaches are crazy about me, because I care about their kids. I literally care about their kids, which means Troy cares about their kids, because Troy's always wanting to know, what about this one? Kevin, have you checked on this one this week? Yeah, I talked to him the other day. Well, make sure you stay in contact. The personal touch. And I mean, when I go to games, because we picked this up, Troy and I picked this up along the way, it's important that we start to be visible in person, not just through Twitter, but the kids need to see us, or at least me being the face of this system, at the ball games to promote and support them. When I go there, it's like the coaches are like, wow. The kids are like, oh my goodness, the parents are like, you don't know how much it means, because nobody comes to see them play. And then they start saying, well, come here, Sam, let me introduce you to Kevin Moses from 1%. Let me tell you what he does. So, and then they're like, well, what about my kid? I got a kid over here that plays. Me and Troy, we're really building momentum on that a lot. I got another kid over here that you need to look at. Or like, then they pop up, well, Coach Moses, they hadn't talked to Troy or me before. Well, I heard you the guy to talk to about getting to the next level, promoting me. And I'm going, word of mouth spreads quick, don't it? And I mean, it's just that personal. You're a real kid with a dream and a passion. And some of them have you should hear some of the stories of these kids. I don't know if Troy does that or not, but I always ask them, tell me your story. Where do you come from? Let me know what your life has been like. That alone builds a strong foundation with the kids that you're not going to get at any of those services that are charging $2,000, $5,000, $3,000. Them folks don't care about them kids. They care about that dollar sign and make all these vain promises, and then they don't even talk to the kids unless it's time to get some more money. But we're there every day. Tell the kids I'm available 24/7. 24/7. I don't care what you need me for. You just call me. If you need to, I'll give you my phone number. Like Troy said, they'll have our cell phone number. If you just want to talk through message, that's fine. 24/7. If I'm not on, as soon as I get on and I see your message, I'm talking to you. Whatever you want to talk about, anything. So now it's like, well, Coach, I got this college that asked me this. Or should I take the ACT? This is something for kids. Does it matter? I mean, they're asking real questions that matter about their career because they know they can. And they trust us with their real lives. Their real lives.
If we don't know something, we'll find out. We'll find out what it is,
Yeah. That's what sets us apart from everybody else. And we aren't charging them a bunch of money. I tell them, there's this one guy. Can I tell them about the guy that was so arrogant about how he's paid somebody to do? Got this one guy that I was promoting, his son. And he stopped talking to me a lot because he went and paid somebody to promote his son. And then he paid a personal trainer all this money to help his son. And I was like, I could have got everything you got for free or almost free. Well, I feel like you're wanting more out of this than what I'm giving you. Because I had to talk to Troy because I was like, I don't understand this dude. I was just talking about he could have saved all this money. He's acting like that I was trying to say I was demanding something from him more than what he's given. I'm just trying to save you money. and help your kid.
Yep.
Well, I think his talent does this. You know what? I said, Troy, I don't understand this dude. He's being all berating, and all I want to do is help him not have to go broke, trying to get his kid to the next level when we could have done it for little or nothing. You want to tell him how you responded to that, Troy?
Let him go. Let him go. If he don't want help, let him go.
Right.
It's not us. That's not our fault. Let him go.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise you're fighting a losing battle with somebody that has already ingrained something in their mind that, I want to do about it this way. That's cool. If you want to go about it that way, just reach out and say, hey, I want to go about it that way. But don't make me feel some type of way when I see you in person. Because, man, what? Well, no.
Yeah, absolutely. I let them go if you can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped. So we always just preach, let them go. Don't, if they don't want your help, don't give it to them. We don't ask anybody to come work with us. We give you the opportunity and we give you a yes or no option. It's not, if you'd like the help from us, absolutely. We'll give you our opinion on other platforms and things, and we don't bash anyone. We usually go into, the technicalities of it and just kind of be like, here's your pros and cons of both, and, pick from there.
Yep. So that's all I have for you, gentlemen. I do thank you for dealing with me yesterday and my technical difficulties. Because I don't know what that was about. It just wouldn't work. I was like,
That's all right.
All right.
Thanks for having us on, and for sure.
Yeah. Run it up. Gone. Yeah. I got it. We on the move.